And Bennett, another Green Bay was at Minnesota, and just like the first game in Green Bay that you saw on Monday Night Football, Minnesota got off to the good early start. Jimmy Hitchcock, the Patriot discard, 58 yards with an interception return, made it 10-0 to the Vikings. But in the second quarter, Brett Favre found Tyrone Davis, 12 yards for a touchdown, 13-7 Vikes. But then Leroy Horde rumbled 36 yards with just over a minute to go in the half, down to the 5-yard line, and a minute later, with about 20 seconds to go in the half, Cunningham found Chris Carter for a 4-yard touchdown. It was 27, the halftime score. Third quarter, all defense. Dwayne Rudd throwing Brett Favre out of bounds. The Packers couldn't get any offense mounted in the third, but in the fourth, Favre got them moving again. Bill Schrader, the former World Leaguer, 7 catches on the day, picks up a first down here, and then Favre scrambling finds Tyrone Davis, 2 TDs 2 weeks in a row, and that made it 20-14. But Randall Cunningham wasn't finished. He looks downfield and finds Randy Moss, who makes a great catch. How great? Look at this body control. 3 players around him, uses his body to shield himself, brings in the ball for the first down. Randall then looks downfield again and finds Randy Moss, who just loves playing against the Green Bay Packers. 49 yards for the TD into the stands, and the final score 28-14. Minnesota sweep the season series from Green Bay, now lead them by 3 with 5 to go, and Brett Favre's 31-39 just wasted on the day. And New Orleans were at San Francisco. The Vikings needed New Orleans to lose, and it didn't look like they would when Kerry Collins snuck over to give the Saints a 10-0 lead in the first period. Collins playing pretty well. Here he hits Sean Dawkins for a big gain, but Wilford Tubbs hits Dawkins and forces the ball out. Tim McDonald recovers, and that set up Steve Young to hit Terrell Owens for an 8-yard touchdown. Look at Owens dancing into the end zone, stretching in. That made it 10-7 Saints. A second touchdown to Owens, and the Niners led 14-3 at the half. Now in the third quarter, Young on the scramble finds Garrison Hurst on the other side of the field all alone. That one goes 81 yards for the touchdown, and a 21-3 lead for the 49ers. Talk about deja vu all over again. Collins hits Sean Dawkins. Ken Norton hits Sean Dawkins. Sean Dawkins fumbles. Tim McDonald recovers again. And that sets up another touchdown. Steve Young looks for Jerry Rice, 8 yards for the score. The final score in that one, 31-20, San Francisco. And the New Orleans loss combined with the Vikings win means that the Vikings are the first team in the NFL to absolutely clinch a playoff berth. In other results, the Raiders got their bubble burst by the Denver Broncos. Donald Hollis throwing a couple of interceptions. John Elway was back at quarterback for the Broncos, and when he passed complete to Willie Green, he joined Dan Marino as only the second passer in NFL history to throw for over 50,000 yards, and they let him even keep the football. Nice guys, aren't they? Second quarter action now, Elway back to pass, and this one's good for not 50,000 yards, but 6 points. Shannon Sharp, 7 yards out. That made it 10-0. Terrell Davis went over to make it 17-0, but Donald Hollis led a great drive in the last minute of the half and found James Jett. Ricky Dudley for the touchdown that brought Oakland back in the game, then James Jett to bring them within 17-14, but then Hollis intercepted by Ray Crockett. That set up John Elway, 28 yards to Rod Smith, and that basically put the game away for Denver. They triumph over Oakland 40-14. Donald Hollis, interceptions in the second half, killing him. Terrell Davis, only 162 yards on the ground, and 3 TD passes for the man, John Elway.
And I say plenty of action still to come.
More highlights now. The Jets at Tennessee, and it was a big game again for Curtis Martin, who had 123 yards on the ground, 14 of them right there. It was 3-3 at the half. Now in the third quarter, Keyshawn Johnson makes the catch, 3-yard touchdown, but what a catch. Watch this one again. Keyshawn up in the air and just takes it away for the score. Now up 17-3. The Jets, Keyshawn makes another big grab. He was having a big day. 10 catches on the day for 112 yards. And then Curtis Martin breaks it wide open with a 31-yard run. That made it 24-3 Jets. And that's the way it ended. Another good game for Vinny Testaverde, another huge game for Curtis Martin, and another huge game for Keyshawn. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh, and Mark Brunell had a tough first half. He goes back to pass, and the man Minnesota threw away to sign Jimmy Hitchcock. Dwayne Washington makes the interception, 52 yards for the touchdown, 7-0 lead to Pittsburgh. They extended it to 13-0 at the half, but in the third quarter, Fred Taylor dives in from 2 yards out to make it 13-7 Pittsburgh. And then it was time for catch of the day. Charles Johnson goes up with one hand and brings it down. Let's take a look at that one again. That was so good. That set up a Norm Johnson field goal, which brought the score up to 13-7. Made it at 16-7. Pittsburgh, Cordell Stewart hits Mark Bruner in the end zone at 2 point. And then Jacksonville comes back. Brunell loads and loads of time, moves out, scrambles, and finally finds Reggie Barlow wide open. Barlow goes out of bounds for a 31-yard gain. And then Jimmy Smith goes deep, 33 yards for the touchdown. 2-point conversion was good, 23-15. And then after a penalty ruined what would have been set up a tying touchdown by Jacksonville, Brunell forced to throw on every down, gets intercepted again by Dwayne Washington. And Dwayne takes this one 78 yards for his second TD of the game. Pretty good for a guy who Minnesota didn't think was good enough to play. And another good day for Cordell Stewart, and Pittsburgh getting some action on the ground from the bus, Jerome Bay.
In Washington, Cardinals quarterback Dave Plummer finds Rob Moore, setting up one of Plummer's 3 touchdown runs.
Arizona at Washington, Jake Plummer to Rob Moore. Arizona up 10-0 in the first quarter, sorry. Plummer ran in 3 one-yard touchdown runs, but with a 17-0 lead, Trent Green started to bring it back, 31-13. Then Plummer hits Larry Centers, making it 38-3. But Green is scrambling in. Right here is going to make it 45-42 with 2 minutes to go. And Trent Green really sacrificing the body to get the score there. But after the onside kick, they got the ball back. Kwame Lassiter intercepts the pass that went off Michael Westbrook's hands. Arizona win 45-42. A big day for Michael Westbrook, 10 catches, 135 yards. A big day for Trent Green, 4 TD passes. He wins the NFL's Trent of the Week award. Quarter, he hits Jermaine Crowell, the rookie, for a 53-yard touchdown, 7-0. But in the second quarter, Tampa Bay strike right back. Jaquez Green, 44 yards from Trent Dilfer, 14-7. Barry Sanders, 18-yard run, sideline to sideline. But Sanders was getting some help in this game, and it came from Ron Rivers, the backup running back who doesn't get to play very much. Ron Rivers goes 36 yards for the touchdown. This is Barry Sanders stuff, and that gave Detroit a 21-7 lead. Now we're in the fourth quarter. Detroit's up by 3. Trent Dilfer hits Warwick Dunn, and the ball tips into Mike Alstott's hands. Now, if they could work this one into the playbook, it might be good for Tampa Bay because they need to liven up that offense. Watch again. Dunn lets it go through the hands. Alstott picks it out of the air and comes down, but they tried another tip play. Actually, they didn't try it. It wasn't intentional, but Jaquez Green right through his hands. Ron Rice gets the interception. And Trent Green, they try some fancy stuff with the old flea flicker there and the lateral, but it isn't enough. Detroit come out winners by 3. Richard Jordan, 11 tackles and an interception for Detroit. Highlights is not quite the word for the Giants in Philadelphia, but the Giants had 3 points in the first half with Kent Graham at quarterback. And here he hits Joe Juravicius, the rookie receiver, and Joe, at the thought of scoring a touchdown, just falls down. It scares him too much. He seemed awfully surprised there. But now, third quarter, 3-0 Giants in the lead, and Graham hits Amani, the benign tumor, and then Gary Brown takes it in from the 4-yard line to make it 10-0 Giants. Bobby Hoying says, well, this is my cue to start the offense going, and Philippi Sparks intercepts Bobby Hoying. That was as close as Philadelphia got to points in that game. 20-0 the final score. Gary Brown almost 100 yards on the day, and Kent Graham only 1 interception, so he's a little bit ahead of Dr. Cannell and Mr. Hyde. Chicago was down in Atlanta, and Jim Flanagan of Chicago hit Chris Chandler, and then the fumble got picked up by Sean Lee, who brought it in 15 yards for the score, and it was 13-3 to the Bears at that point. But Chandler got right back up. This is third quarter action, and he hit Terrence Mathis from 13 yards out to make it 13-10. Of course, one of the big things in Atlanta is their run blocking has improved so much this year, and Jamal Anderson here, second effort, bullying his way forward for 8 yards. Did I say second effort? Call that first effort, second effort. Call that one third effort here, and Jamal's still on his feet, and then he gets knocked out of bounds. But when you're running like that, it makes your passing game easy, and Todd Kinchin takes an 11-yard touchdown. The Falcons go in the lead for the first time at 17-3, but now Mike Wells, with his hands on Chandler almost from the snap, brings him down, and Chandler sprained both his right ankle and his right knee. He may not be back next week, which is bad news for Atlanta. Steve Stenstrom now trying to scramble, gets hit by Chuck Smith and fumbles. Atlanta recovers, and that was it. The final score, 13 for Chicago, 20 for Atlanta. Tony Martin, 6 catches. Another good day for Chris Chandler, but as I say, Atlanta have problems if he's not back. Seattle was at Dallas. Deion Sanders has toe problems, but he started the game 10-7 to the Cowboys when Warren Moon, who's Wally Moon? He was a baseball player. Hits Joey Galloway 44 yards for the touchdown. That made it 10-7 Cowboys. But then Kevin Smith did his Deion imitation, picks off Warren Moon and moves it across. And at this point, Dallas up 13-7. Looked like they were going to have a good lead, but watch this one as Sam Adams, which is a great beer and even better defensive lineman, makes the tip and the interception, takes it in 25 yards. And Sam does his Deion interception. Take another look at this. His Deion imitation, I should say. Waits for it, brings it down, and does a little high stepping across the line. That made it 14-13 Seattle. But Troy Aikman had other ideas about that. Hits Billy Davis, 18 yards for the touchdown. 23-14 to Dallas. And then Chris Warren on the ground. Emmitt Smith had already crossed the 100 yards mark. By that point, Chris Warren set himself up for a touchdown on that one. Moon hit James McKnight for a late touchdown to bring him within 30-22, but that was all she wrote. When Galloway dropped that one, that was the last chance for the Seahawks. The big news there, Emmitt Smith went over the 1,000-yard mark for the 8th straight season. Only 2 guys have done that before. Barry Sanders is one of them, and Thurman Thomas is the other.
And we'll be wrapping up the Week 12 highlights during the course of this second half. And speaking of this second half, Mike, I mean, the great thing about that first half...
that made it 28-0. Indianapolis at Buffalo. Second quarter, Peyton Manning throws the ball. It's intercepted by Ken Irwin, and he returns it 44 yards for the Bills. That set up a touchdown from Flutie to Sam Gash and a 7-3 lead for the Bills. Antoine Smith, nothing in the middle. Antoine just takes it around, a little burst of speed, and makes it 14-3, doing all the work himself. Still in the second quarter, Flutie hits Andre Reed. Andre Reed makes 2 tacklers miss, a third, and then a little bit of a straight arm. Just bounces his way into the end zone, 67 yards. That makes it 21-3. Peyton Manning have another tough day. Kurt Scholes intercepts, and that led to a field goal, and it was 24-3 at halftime. That was pretty much all over. But let's watch Doug Flutie do his thing. Norman Chad suggested last week that Indianapolis practiced by chasing rodeo clowns in practice. And with the only chance to really get back in the game was stopped on a 4th and goal. Manning tried to sneak. Flutie Flakes are the breakfast cereal of choice in Buffalo. He's the toast of the town. 20 of 28 for 230 yards. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 8 more catches for Marshall Faulk for Indianapolis. And we pick up the action in Kansas City at San Diego. In the third quarter, Bam Morris gives the Chiefs a 21-17 lead, but then with the score 37-31 after a missed field goal by Stoyanovich, Craig Whalehan leads the comeback, hits Charlie Jones for the touchdown with 9 seconds left, and San Diego wins 38-37 to stay in contention for a wild card. Big game for Whalehan, big game for Rich Gannon. And in Cincinnati, the Ravens called on a priest to exorcise Bruce Coslett. It was Priest Holmes who piled up 227 yards with runs like this one, just getting knocked out of bounds by Artrell Hawkins. Priest Holmes now going over from 1 yard out with 8 seconds left in the half to give Baltimore a 17-3 lead. Paul Justin, the former Frankfurt Galaxy quarterback, came in. Ray Lewis gets the interception. And watch Peter Boulaware's block. Let's get a better look at it from this angle. Lewis makes the interception. Watch Rod Jones, number 60. Boulaware knocks his head off, or at least his hat. A big game for Lewis, who had 10 tackles and the interception. He's now going to become the highest paid linebacker in the game, and a huge game, his second huge game of the season for Priest Holmes. 36 carries, 227 yards on the ground. Who needs Jim Harbaugh anyway?
Indeed. We've got one more.
The second one, a 13-yarder. That made it 14-0 to Carolina. Now 17-0 to Carolina. Steve Bono in at quarterback, replacing Tony Banks, hits Jeff Robinson. 17-7 at the half. But Bono to Amp Lee, down by 4. Amp Lee drops the ball with 1 second left, and that was all she wrote. A great game for Steve Berline, 21 of 26. Wesley Walls, 6 catches, and not a bad game for Bono. Kevin Carter, good on defense for St. Louis, but basically Amp Lee is the key for their offense, and if he can't do it, nobody can.
Job done.